I wonder if I'm good now.
Yeah.
Should I stay?
Sometimes you go through self-doubt, but that's what grace is for, isn't it?
So lads, one question I have for you guys is, what is or what was your relationship with your fathers like?
First 12 years in this world was my dad. My dad was around, and it was cool because you go through that feeling of watching match of the day together. He was a Man United fan. I'm an Arsenal fan. So back then, it was just Arsenal and Man United. So it was fun watching match of the day together. He made it to the top of his field. So when the driver came to pick me up as well, it was good. We used to bond in the car. So when that time went, obviously things happened between him and my mum. It was different because it's like you're experiencing life on your own. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That protector or that person to show you the way. So it was kind of different. So I've had two experiences. One where he was there, and then another where I had to learn for myself. So
what is a father? A father to me is someone who gives you the blueprint from becoming a man from a boy. The one that is there for you, the one that encourages you, the one that affirms you, the one that builds you, the one who basically promotes you. Your father is your guardian angel, the one that you can always count on to be there for you.
I had a very strict African dad, so either be a doctor, a lawyer, all the typical stuff. And I think with my dad as well, he used to be a pastor, so he was very religious. When it comes to talking about things of God, he could sit and talk to me about it for hours. But in anything else, I don't feel like I could talk to him about anything else unless it was related to God. And in terms of a relationship with him, I didn't always feel comfortable, speaking to him about different things. But I felt like, he was a great father in the sense that, he provided for me. He was always he'd always be willing to do things for me. Even as I got older, he'd still be willing to do a lot for me. But I never felt as if, he was someone I could go out and talk to. I don't know about you guys with your dads, but I never felt as if I could go and talk to him about personal things that were really bothering me or really heavy on my heart, without feeling a sense of judgment because he was so heavy spiritually.
Yeah. How do you feel the impact? How has it kind of impacted your life? Kind of growing up without a father, for your childhood, being a teenager, and as a big man you are today.
Well, for me, how's it impacted me? Well, in a way, I kind of envy you guys to an extent because you had a relationship with your father, growing up, and then it went and everything else. But with me, there was just a big gap. So I was with my mum. My mum's this militant, strict Jamaican woman, and she tried to be mum and dad. And what I realised, you can never do both jobs because you were never designed to do it. So as much as my mum loved me, supported me, helped me through school and everything else, I used to hide behind the fact that I used to say, well, do you know what, I've never had a dad, so I don't know what I'm missing, so I can't be missing it. But the fact of the matter is that I did. I longed for a dad, and I remember playing all the time, playing sports and stuff, and everyone would have all their dads out saying, come on, let's go, yeah, go on, my son, and everything else. And then I'm looking, and my mum's not there. My dad's obviously not there, so feeling a bit, like there was a void. So that kind of
question just comes to mind. Do you feel like a woman, a mother, can actually raise up a boy?
She can do her best.
She can do her best.
She can do her best, but she'll never be able to give that kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? That kind of validation. That as a man, affirming, that kind of affirming figure of a father.
Did you feel like you had fathers in other people, maybe public figures?
I lived with my granddad, but he was just a lot older than me, so he didn't really give me much advice. He only gave me slippers at Christmas. That's what he used to do. You know what I'm saying? That's it. So but yeah, so there was a massive void. I didn't have a template in which to say, okay, so how does a relationship work between a man and a woman, and how is a father supposed to be? So I just had to learn from people around me, and, make mistakes.
Sure. I mean, I can resonate with that. I think initially when there was no dad around anymore, I feel like I remember just speaking now actually when you talked about when you were at school and stuff, like kids, your mum was always kind of there and stuff, like there was no father figure around and stuff. I remember at school when people used to talk about their dads and stuff, and I used to keep quiet because I didn't want to know that. I didn't want people knowing that I didn't have a dad and stuff like that. So I just used to keep quiet and stuff, and I didn't think nothing of it. I just kind of thought, well, that's fine. But then I think as I got older, I almost kind of felt ashamed of having one. Do you know what I mean? But as I got older, I just kind of you know what, dude, I don't have a dad, but I'm where I am today. And my mum's done a good job, and thanks to God as well. But in terms of just growing up in general and just trying to live life without a dad, I think very early on, my mum, I had two other brothers as well. So what happened was that my other brothers kind of lived away from the family because, they were quite older, so they could kind of do what they wanted and stuff. It's kind of basically just me and my mum and I, like, from very, very young. So I had to sort of breathe. I saw very, very young as well the vulnerability of not having a protector through my mum. So, like, it started off, like, initially, because she used to work in a bank and stuff, like, she had to work double hard, she had to work weekends, things like that. I could see that, oh wow, okay, these are the impact of, straight away, just the first time of not having a provider, so to speak. And throughout my life, just different facts that kind of happen, but as a young kid, you kind of just pick that up quickly, and obviously the older you get, the more complicated life gets as well, and the more complex issues are, and you need a father figure to kind of help you kind of like just pave the way. I feel like a father should be, someone that is ready to serve his family, not just in the physical part, but also, the whole well-being, mentally as well as spiritually. I think obviously that comes in different dimensions, physically, it's like the provision, making sure there's food in the fridge, there's a roof over your head, clothes under your back and all that. But I think most importantly, your father needs to be a great, husband to the wife initially, for you to sort of transfer that to your child and your children, really. And most importantly for me, I feel like a father should be someone that leads the family to God.
A quick question, maybe to everyone. How did you feel on Father's Day when it was Father's Day? And the teacher was like, we're going to make a card for your father.
I see, with me, I called, I guess because my dad is still around, you know what I mean? So I called my dad, I made that effort. Actually, that's a lie.
Why you lying?
So with me, I had to go through that. So, like I said, when my dad left my mum, I went through that stage where I was just an angry kid. Do you know what I mean? I couldn't deal with the emotions because I was going through different changes. So coming from privilege to just my mum starting from the beginning. So I couldn't really handle the two. So I was just, my emotions were everywhere. So I didn't talk to my dad for a long time. Do you know what I mean? So during Father's Day, I just thought that's long. Why am I calling it? But when I heard a message about forgiveness, it changed my life. Totally changed my thinking, and then I started calling my dad. I started, honoring my dad on Father's Day. I started saying thank you. Do you see what I'm saying? Stuff like that. So yeah, it's a good question though.
What about you for Father's Day?
It was never really like, because me and my dad really had that strong relationship. It was never really like excited, like, oh yes, let me make a car for my dad. Like,
so he didn't expect anything from you, or he's like,
he wouldn't expect it. Yeah, he'd be waiting, like, you know, it's Father's Day today. But and then I'll get him Saturday the next day. But it would never be like an exciting thing for me to make excited for my dad, you know. But yeah, purely based because the fact that I felt like, you know, my dad was quite closed off, and I feel as if growing up that affected me as well, because it made me someone that it made me quite closed up and not necessarily always wanna open up to people, express to people, because I noticed that my dad just growing up, like he would be the type of person that he would hold things in, like I'll do things and then he wouldn't like it, and then one day he would just explode, like you haven't done this, and growing up I noticed it in myself. I'll just hold things back, and one day just it comes out, you know. But it's just about, I think what you said, maybe just about breaking that cycle, you know, not letting that continue.
I think also one thing to bear in mind as well is, you know, the effect it has on relationships as well. Like your relationship with, you know, our mothers, with future sort of spouses and stuff as well. And, you know, as you said, like, you know, that kind of alters your personality to a degree where, you know, sometimes you're kind of closed off. I think for me, I was close when I had to kind of learn very quickly and wise up very, very quickly. But at the same time, there's a part of me that almost kind of like just don't go area kind of thing. Like, you know, when it comes to, like, you know, just like dealing with, especially I think with women actually. One thing I realised is that seeing my mum sort of like not have that sort of protector and that sort of, because she was quite exposed to it very, very, very early on. That made me angry, but at the same time, it also kind of made me like, okay, like, there's something you have to do, you know, to sort of make it better in a way. But at the same time, when you flip it, I didn't have, you know, that mother, you know, when your father and your mother, well, you probably wouldn't know this, but when
it's alright.
Well, that's why we're here. When a mum and dad relationship, you know, the dynamics of the home, when it's happy, and you know, you can see the way your dad treats your mum and things like that. You're like, oh, I'd like to treat my woman like that one day. I didn't have that at all.
You can't say something like, you know, dad used to do that.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? So you didn't have that at all. So, you know, then you're in a relationship like, oh crap, so how do I handle this kind of thing? Yeah. No one's taught you, you know, how to be with a woman. No, you haven't seen the examples set in your life, you know what I mean? I don't know about you guys, but did you find that the case as well? Especially when you kind of stepped out to relationships and stuff?
It's okay. The water just got deep all of a sudden.
I think it was more of a learning. It was learning the job.
Yeah.
Because I had no one to coach me through it. I had to make my mistakes. I had to learn from my mistakes. Do you see what I'm saying?
No,
so
absolutely.
Unfortunately, you know, people have been hurt. You know, but it comes from not having that person to direct you.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? And I think it's even deeper than that. It's not just necessarily relationship. It could be just, you know, the changes that us guys go through. You know, the body changes. You know, the chemicals, exactly, emotions in the body. You know, it changes. No one to coach you through it. You know, facial hair. You know, people showing you how to shave and stuff like that. You know, I think it's a lot deeper than that. And us guys, I feel for women, you know, mothers tend to be there for their daughters, but when it now comes to guys, without having the father around, there's really no one to show the guy. So where he learns from,
it's like trial and error.
Yeah, it's trial and error. Yeah, you know what I mean. And going back to your point about relationships, for me personally, I felt like I was always running away from love. Do you see what I'm saying? So I remember when, you know, back then we used to call it links. It wasn't girlfriend.
I've really kissed still these days, actually.
Yeah, links. Not as much, but
is it linked like on the internet? Is there?
No.
Oh yeah, that would be funny.
Old school. But I remember there was this one girl who told me that, you know, she loved me.
Right.
This was
last week.
But yeah, as soon as she said that, I just ran. I just left because I couldn't.
Well, physically you ran?
Yeah, I physically just ran. No, actually not physically, just ran. Nah, I just got to it. Nah, I didn't just run. I mean, like, I thought to myself that, you know what, this is someone that actually loves me. But because I didn't know how to handle it, because I haven't seen it, I just kind of disappeared, you know, which wasn't good. So that's like an example of, you know, what I meant by people got hurt because of I didn't have that person to show me how to love a woman. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it was. I don't know if you guys had similar experiences.
I can relate because, like, even though like my parents are still together and that, I've never heard them, like, you know, say to each other they love each other, or like,
or hold hands,
exactly, or kiss each other. I've never seen any of that, you know. So yeah, even though they're together, but sometimes it feels like I felt like they're together because, you know, it's convenient, you know.
Right.
Like, and I thought to myself, I never want like a relationship like that, you know. It just feels like
it feels like a very functional relationship. Just trying to, let's not rock the boat because this is working kind of thing.
Do you think that when you do get married, that you'll make it a point to like show affection in front of your kids to say, this is a loving relationship?
Because I would have liked to see that when I was growing up, because I see an example of what a typical relationship, what it should look like. You know.
Currently, like, if you were to say now, you know, the lack of, you know, the spirit of affection in your home and stuff, has it affected how you are and how you kind of like manage your affections?
I was like him.
So I was him.
I could have, like, I've had similar situations where, like, girls would be all open and affectionate, and I wouldn't know how to handle it. I just like that would be awkward. Like you say, I love you, and then I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say.
Or holding hands in public, and you just like
you don't want to do it.
It's crazy, man.
What about you, David? You seem like a guy that would say I love you first. You know? very romantic.
No, a little bit. No, it's really like good to hear your stories. How you broke hearts because you didn't show feelings, and then on the flip side that I would show feelings and I still broke hearts, kind of thing. So it's kind of weird that because we share the common ground that we both didn't have templates to say this is how a relationship should be. People still got hurt no matter which way you kind of went. With me, I went to an all-boys school, so it was just all boys, and then for sixth form it was co-ed. That's where I awoke, and basically because I didn't have that kind of like template of how a relationship should be, I was like everyone's friend and too friendly to a degree, and was someone that didn't know how to have boundaries.
Okay.
So I was that annoying guy that would potentially like lead you on knowingly or unknowingly, and not have the balls to cut it or end it, because now she's crying. So how do I deal with this? Oh no, it's okay. I'll still be with you. It's okay. It's okay. And then, you know, the next day someone else. Okay. I'll still be with you. So, you know, that's how that went. So I think if I had that template, if I had that kind of guide to be like, okay, this is what it's supposed to be. You know, one man, one woman. This is how you treat each other. Then I would have made a lot less mistakes than I did.
I feel for me, like I said, the first 12 years of my life I had my dad around, so I learned a lot about planning. My dad was a planner. I learned about putting things in order and the importance of putting things in order in the family, providing for the family. That's stuff like that I've learned from my dad. So there's no way I'm going to start a family and I'm not going to be a provider. It's just in me. I've seen it. Do you know what I mean? And after that, you know, when things happen between my dad and my mum, I learned how to, or should I say, I learned the need to protect your family, because by leaving someone, you've exposed your family to different dangers. Do you see what I'm saying? So I've picked up on on stuff like that. I've picked up on stuff like the need to love your wife. I once heard this quote that said, the greatest gift you can give your child is to love your wife. And I know it's hard, especially in this generation. Yeah. It's hard to love just, one woman. I'm encouraging. I'm encouraging. It's not that hard. I'm encouraging that you love, your wife.
I know what you mean, but it's hard to,
yeah, but by loving your wife and by sticking to loving your wife, it's like your children are getting so many benefits.
That's actually what I said.
So many benefits from it, and that's what I've learned from, when my dad and my mom split. I saw that, and I saw how much benefit that wasn't there anymore. Do you know what I mean? And that's me anyway. That's what I've learned. How was it like dealing with the absence of my father? It was difficult because I had to deal with the emotional aspect. So I was going through mood swings at school. People didn't understand me. One minute I was angry, I was fighting. The other minute I was happy, bubbling with friends, always going out and stuff. It also affected me financially because my mum had to literally be the breadwinner. So going to school, I had to hustle for money. It wasn't necessarily always easy. Unfortunately, I had to get involved in stealing. But that was the nature of it because I didn't have, at that specific time, I didn't have that financial support.
The household needs a father, especially the boys. Yeah. You need a father and a mother, but boys definitely need a father figure, definitely. And what I learned is that an absent father, even though they have say no involvement in the child's life, has still set that kid up at a disadvantage just by not being there. Sometimes a father would be there, and that's what I said, I'm kind of jealous of you guys because you've had that experience of just having that man in the house. I never experienced that. But for me, it helped me that when my kids came, that I was one of those people that because I'd gone through something, I want to do the complete opposite for my kids. So I try and make sure I'm there at all their matches to cheer them on, and all their pantomime plays and all those things, and just show them like a good time in terms of this is what it means to be a man. This is how you have to be responsible.
As a father, my expectations of my sons, Oxford, Cambridge. I'm just saying I'd be great if it wasn't. That's what I'm working towards. But just for them to be, well-rounded individuals, guys that are good guys that love the Lord, guys that just want to help and serve their community, and ultimately they're a good brother, they're a good husband, good guys, solid guys, as they say.
And I just thank God that I got a chance to have a mentor who is now my father. So, the advice that I would say that comes out of this is that if you don't have a father, get one.
Just get one off the shelf.
Yeah. Just find a mentor, like a big brother or someone that is doing well, that is respectable, that loves God, and find a mentor and follow what they do, and take all the good from them and it'll leave you in good stead.
David, how would someone go about finding a father?
Okay, well, there's different ways. I mean, the way I found my father was, it was my pastor, really. My pastor, he was like a father figure to me, and you just get closer to them, and then obviously you follow what they do. You look at all their good traits, because everyone's human, so they have good and bad, and you pick out the good traits that you really want to kind of to increase in your life. Also, if there's any gaps that that you're aware of in yourself, then you try and find someone who does the opposite of you. So if you procrastinate a lot, find someone who's always like a go-getter, who's always doing stuff, who's always And there's many different ways in this, this world of, technology. You can have a mentor online, so you can follow certain people in certain fields if that's the route you want to go down. But I mean, the Bible says, "Seeking you shall find." So it could be simple as going to like your local church, and it could be a deacon or someone in youth ministry, or there'll be someone there. But one of those things you have to pray about it as well. I'd say to make sure you get the right people.
A scripture that comes to mind is, "In the multitude of counsel there is safety." Yeah.
But back to your original question though, about what have you learned? I think what I learned from my experience with my father is that communication is key, because when I'm a father eventually, I want my kids to be able to come to me with their problems, talk to me about different experiences they have, whatever it is, but whether they had a bad day at school, whatever. Because I never felt like I could go to my dad. So I want my kids to have that same privilege of. Or how do I plan to communicate with my children when I eventually get them? I think what I'm gonna do definitely is start young. Start young. Start building that bond from very early age. Like in just little things, like playing with them every day. Taking like extra time in helping them with their schoolwork, doing the little things that eventually sort of build up. And then when they eventually get to 10 or 15 or 18 or whatever, because I've taken the time to start from young, it makes it easier to have that strong bond when they're older. You know what I mean? So definitely just starting young and starting with the little things, planting the little seeds here and there every day, and then hopefully that makes our bond a lot stronger.
Your son to sort of come to you and actually just be able to tell you anything. If you remember the story correctly, it was about the prodigal son. His father's very, very wealthy, but he kind of came to a decision where, okay, like, I want my own share of the family. I just want to go and leave, right, and just do my own thing. But yeah, he went away, did his own thing. But I think also one thing to take in mind was the relationship with his father when he was, in the dirt and stuff. The relationship he kind of had with his father was like, okay, you know what? My relationship with my father is kind of solid enough for me to kind of go back and repent and have an apology and stuff like that. I feel like that is really, really key. And when we take it to like spiritual terms and stuff, I think I've struggled with not having a father around, and kind of relating to our Heavenly Father kind of thing. When I read the Bible and it says, I'm your father, I'm the father. I don't really know what that means. Like, I can't really relate because I don't know what that is. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's an ongoing battle. You know what I mean? But I'm still kind of learning of what a father should be and how the dynamics of a father-son relationship should be. Through how God treats his children and stuff.
I think ultimately, we've got to remember that God, is our father, because I think the scripture in Psalm that says, he's father to the fatherless. So we've got to remember that.
That's a big scripture.
It's a big one. Yeah. So we've got to remember that, even though whatever situation someone is alive, whether their father's passed away or whatever, as long as they remember that they have him to rely on, him to lean on, when time can offer that in that aspect.
That's good point. Guys, the Bible says that we should honor our fathers and our mothers. So, is there anything positive that comes to mind?
I mean, to be honest, to be fair, one thing I'm actually realizing now as I am is, because I'm engaged now actually, and
come on,
don't know, no, all right, fine, and I've realized a lot of people that my dad impacted when he was, he did really well for himself and stuff. But what I realized is, my uncles and even far distance cousins and stuff, your dad was a good man because he really helped me a lot. He provided for me when I didn't have this and that. He helped send my child to school. He really, really helped people out and stuff. And generally, I feel like it pays to be good as well, because now I'm almost kind of reaping what is kind of sown in the past. Do you know what I mean? And he was a very, very generous and giving and sort of kind of helpful man. I just kind of wish that kind of spread that love a bit to us as well. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I'd say he was.
Dude, what about you? Because I know that you said your dad wasn't really around. So.
No, it wasn't around. Just have to make a positive out of a negative, I guess. basically the example that he's given me in terms of his absence has just really made it really apparent to me how much I need to be there for my kids, you know, and potentially if he was there, then yeah, okay, I'll be a good dad, I'll be there for my kids. But the fact that he wasn't, and I made the mindset and made a commitment to being there for my kids, I'm there like 110% for my boys. You know, just raising them up to try and be leaders and people who love God and just, you know, are giving. So I think that's really pushed me to try and make them the best men that I can possibly make them.
So like speaking about everything now, what kind of advice would you give like just young men out there with no sort of like father figure and no kind of role model out there to kind of point them in the right direction in life? You know, what would you kind of say to kind of help them?
The first thing I would say is, if your father has done you wrong, learn to forgive, or try to forgive. It's one of the hardest things to do. But once I grasped the revelation of forgiveness, I was able to forgive my dad. I was able to just want to honor him, if that makes sense. Once I realized how much Christ forgave me and how much freedom you get in forgiving people, I was compelled out of love to just forgive my dad and start that journey of forgiveness. So that would be an advice that I would give to someone who wants to start this process of, you know, forgiveness and, you know, starting again with their
almost
father.
like a healing process.
A healing
as
process,
well.
absolutely. Do you guys feel that prayer also helps?
Prayer is key. For me, it's like my therapy session. Do you know what I'm saying? So in the morning, you pray, and anything that's on your chest, you can get it off. Anything you need to talk about, anything that's worrying you, you can talk to God, and He will listen.
Do you feel like it kind of depends on where your level with God is? Because sometimes, I don't know if you guys can live, but I feel like I'm talking to God, but I'm talking to like
a brick wall or something.
Yeah, like you know, because I feel like it depends on sometimes
where you're at.
Where you're at, you know, like whether, you know, I think you've had that strong relationship with God or not. Like, would you guys think?
I think one thing to bear in mind is like God is not really after our levels, our perfection and stuff. He takes us where we're at, and it's a journey, isn't it? Like we're all at different stages of spiritual lives and stuff. So I think knowing that God is a God that loves you wherever you're at, as long as your heart is with Him, and you know, do you know what I mean? As long as you know you're also in it as well, you're seeking Him for real. You know, it doesn't matter where you're at. You know, he guides you and raises you up, and He builds you up at the same time. Do you know what I mean? But in terms of, you know, what you said about when you're praying and stuff, like, and you feel like you're not really connecting to God, you know, I think different factors. You know, it could be, you know, as we addressed earlier about things like unforgiveness and stuff like that. You know, that could sort of hinder, you know, your prayer life and things like that. So you have to understand who God is and how you kind of approach Him, because, you know, there's certain things you just don't come into presence when you kind of, and that goes with reading His Word and actually understanding His character as well.
And just to add to that, I totally understand what you mean by, because there's sometimes I'm praying and things are not happening, and I'm saying, Lord, what's going on? I've been praying more than 21 days. Daniel only prayed for 21 days, you know. I've been praying for years, and this thing's not happening. What's going on? But one thing that I do is I get encouragement from Christ, my Lord and Savior. And how do I do that? He said men ought to pray always without giving up. Correct me if I'm wrong. Or something along those lines. And for me, I just remember that, you know, he said, you know, men ought to pray always, you know, without giving heart. And that gives me encouragement to, you know, even though I might not see it happening at the moment, but hey, I'll keep praying, because that's what I've been.
You never know, you know. Around the corner.
Yeah, I've been doing this for 9 years. Should I stay here? Should I switch gears? I got a dream. Who cares how to move when you're covered by your own face? But I'm still, I know it's kinda hard, but I'm still, yeah. Bro, I'm still, yeah. Never switch gears, yeah. Can't do this on my own. So far gone when I get into the zone.